care. These 3 workshops will be held after the first, so in the noon, as you can see. Gamification is the first topic, journalism, data journalism is another one, and the Action C network will have a workshop about government transparency. So that will be the 8, in total 8 workshops. So please choose which one do you want to attend and register. You can do it online, or you can do it at our info point with our volunteers. So our next panel is dedicated
to Belarus.
To Belarus. Censorship in Belarus, to the internet in general in Belarus, and the moderator will be Jakub Gornicki from Outriders. Please.
Thank you very much. Hello? Hello? Come on, hello, hello? Hello? Okay. Well, I'm really happy that you stayed. I hope it's not only for the electricity, but it's also for this panel. We will really try to entertain you. As I said, I work for Outriders, and my job here today is to be a translator. A translator of... Don't do it. A translator of 3 people who will be telling us about Belarus, because it is actually rare that we have so many Belarusians on different conferences. They are here all together on conferences. Don't just wait with the laugh till I finish the sentence. So, I am joined by 3 people, and let me introduce them. First of all, Hanna Lyubakova. Come on. Weronika Lapucka. Come on, keep it up, and Franek Wiacorka, come on. And now we'll do a quick round of intro. Oh, of course, he had to do it here. You couldn't do it properly, yes? Always stealing the show. Okay, Hanna, just a quick introduction of you guys.
It wasn't actually the red carpet, though. Okay, so my name is Hanna. My surname is Lyubakova, not Lubakova. Sorry, Jakub. So I'm a journalist from Belarus. Before joining this amazing cohort of freelance journalists, Is it okay?
Yeah, it's
perfect. Okay. I work for this, the first and the only independent TV channel. It's called Belsa TV. And it's actually banned in the country, so I work from Poland. And I also worked for Radio Free Europe. And now I'm working for Outriders.
Hi, I'm Weronika Lapucka. I was also born in Minsk, like Hanna, but currently working in Warsaw for the East Research Center, studying misinformation, disinformation, digital influencers together with the Digital Communication Network, and doing various projects on media research, also media monitoring, elections, things like this.
Hi, I'm Franek from Belarus.
Well, thank you for saving time. We don't have it so much. Okay. Now, who has been to Belarus before? Wow. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like 7 or 8% of the room. Who wants to go to Belarus? Who is neutral? Like, okay, believe me, you will all want to go to Belarus after you see this panel. We will begin with small quiz. So, we have 4 questions. You might, yeah. I will gonna just stay here. I have 4 questions for you prepared. Actually, Franek prepared them. So let's see. Question number 1. Where is the Belarusian tank? Top 1 or 2? 1 or 2? 1. Why 1? Who is saying 1? Oh. It's here. It's here. The proper answer is, Franek?
Answer is number 1, because the second it's a game World of Tanks developed in Belarus.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 2 is, where is American bison and where is Belarusian bison?
You can say both.
1 is Belarusian or second? And the proper answer is, Weronika?
Number 1.
Number 1. Okay, who has already 100% proper answers? Oh, nice. You're getting a visit to the bison country then. Okay. Please put the lights down. Please put the lights down. I'll tell you when to...
We don't need lights.
Because we need to show. Okay. Which picture comes from Belarus? 1 or 2? 1 or 2?
Good job. Yeah.
Exactly. You are right, guys. It's the first one. Though I think actually the second one is not bad either.
And the last question is, again, one or two. What goes for Belarus? Is it the proper answer?
No. The first one is from Russia. You can see it. Yeah, the second is from Belarus. It's the center of Minsk, and you're welcome to come.
You see this attention.
It's very Belarusian horses and Belarusian everything there.
Yeah, and this is our council house just in the background of Minsk.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
our
wait.
Uber, local Uber.
Yes, this is Uber in Belarus. It picks you up straight from the airport. Okay, just pay attention to this. I mean, the attention to detail is just, amazing here. Okay, now we have...
The video for you explaining what is Belarus, just to not let us... We can just switch off the light, totally, because it will be a very long film, but you will enjoy it. It was made by our friend and colleague about Belarus. So these guys are from Belarus, as you can see.
Lights down, please.
Okay, let's go. And let's...
Lights down. Lights down. Where is the light person? No lights. Well, I'm sorry.
Did you know that there are more than 8,000 readers in Belarus, and the highest point in the country, which is Chechnya, has an elevation of just 345 meters above sea level? Then in the next 5 minutes, we will help you to extend your knowledge about Belarus.
Yes, so now you know a little bit about Belarus, and now we are going to tell you more about the media situation there. Jakub, can you give me the clicker now? I will be managing the show, okay?
Hold on. Take it. I have to uncable myself from here. Okay.
So basically, yeah, that's. Can we switch off the light, for this panel, because we will be talking about the pictures on the wall.
Use this one.
They're streaming.
Because I see. Okay, so we are going to ask the audience: is it fake or real? That's a police tractor. So basically, it's true that Belarusians are obsessed with tractors, as you could see. And we have the police tractors, we have dancing tractors, we have tractors boys, and we have tractor girls, red and blue color. And we have even competition of tractor dancing. You can see here. So basically, every year, tractors participate in all national holidays, parades. They are making dancing shows. They have competition, and there is a special profession, of the rider of the dancing tractor. And there are two types of Belarusian tractors: red color and blue color. Blue color is considered to be a boy, and red color considered to be a girl. And always Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, for 25 years, he's managing these parades of tractors. Just let's look for 5 seconds. You see him? Yes. Do you know this song? Anyone knows the song? No? So you see, we are a very creative nation, And okay, enough with tractors. So now how Belarusian propaganda is working. So official Ministry of Information, they launched this video promoting Belarus. What is the happiness? It's a friendship, love, go back home. So that's propagandist video to promote the country and the tourism in Belarus. And of course, in this video, they ignored all the negative things about Belarusian political situation, and people made another video which gathered much more views online. Let's watch it. So that's the same sound. Can you make louder, please? That's a police car. They're trying to get dollars because no currency. Open new opportunities. That's special police forces. We have the highest rate of number of policemen per capita. Police brutality is often in Belarus as well. And journalists are very often arrested and detained and beaten. So basically that's the reaction of the society to this propaganda made by official ministries. I am only one dictator in Europe, and I'm proud of it, he's saying. Okay, so we continue the game. Please, Jakub and Hanna and Veronika, help me, and let's ask the audience.
So what do you think? Do you think it's, for those who haven't recognized in the first picture, you see our president with Gérard Depardieu, and on the second one is Steven Seagal visiting him. Do you think it's fake or not? Yes, very good.
Expert.
Yes, it's real. So these guys, probably they like to visit Russia as well, but they're very good friends of Mr. Lukashenko, and they like to come and get the harvest with him from time to time.
So when Depardieu came, Lukashenko forced him to work in the garden, and when Seagal came, Lukashenko fed him with carrots.
So if you're hungry, just remember you can come to Belarus and you can get some carrots or whatever, you know, from...
That's a welcome drink.
Okay, what do you think about this picture? Just tell me one word. How would
What do you see here? How do you
would
feel about it?
How would you characterize it? One word. Sorry? Oh, yeah, very good. Ushatkas. Yeah, what else? What about adjective? Think about an adjective. What would you say? So, Belarusian authorities believe that this picture is extremist. And in 2011, together with other photos from a special issue which we publish every year, it's called Belarus Press Photo, they consider this picture to be an extremist. This one was in the category nature.
So this is also extremist photo?
Yeah, here you see Karolina Wozniacki. She was playing in a charity game, tennis game, together with Victoria Azarenka, who was #1 at that moment in tennis rating. So this one was in sport, also extremist photo.
So basically, you know, there are many silly things about the government. They consider these photos as extremists, and if these photos will be found on your computer can be confiscated and you can be punished.
And it also shows how far away your Minister of Information reaches in terms of its censorship and imposing any sanctions against journalism, published materials, printed materials, against the work of photographers and civil society workers as well.
Basically, you can be actually detained for just a retweet. So, you know, be careful.
Or reports on social media.
Yeah.
And here we have teddy bears.
And here you see quite an interesting picture. It's teddy bears, and it was a special teddy bears drop in Belarus in 2012, when a group of Swedish civil activists illegally crossed by plane the border between Lithuania and Belarus. And what was most remarkable is that actually air forces in Belarus didn't even recognize them. So they went across the border, dropped these teddy bears with all sort of slogans calling for their defense of human rights and freedom of speech and all these things, and went back to Lithuania, spending 2 hours on the Belarusian territory. Needless to say that Belarusian authorities were absolutely cross about the situation, very angry, and they had to, a few officials were dismissed. Of course, the Minister of Defense and I think the official who was responsible for the air forces, and the Swedish ambassador had to leave Belarus immediately and go back to Sweden. And this is the special campaign on support, because the person who posted these pictures of teddy bears on ground first, the photographer, he was Anton Surapin. He was detained, and he spent 35 days in KGB prison for posting these photos of teddy bears on the ground. Lately, he was able actually to get a compensation from the state, which is super unusual for Belarus. But people were trying to support him. Here you see our social activists and journalists who were supporting him.
But you know what was interesting actually? Like at first the authorities denied that, you know, anything like that happened. Like there was no plane, nothing, you know, has crossed our airspace and so on. But somehow this photographer was detained, and there was this guy who kind of rented an apartment to the Swedish people who from this PR agency who came to Belarus, right? So these two people were detained, you know, by the KGB, but officially at first nothing has happened, and you know, so it actually shows you that, you know, even a photographer, even a guy who just rents apartments can be kind of considered a spy in Belarus, right?
So Hanka, can you explain what is this guy on the left? So that's a policeman, right?
On the left is actually not policeman, but on the right is a policeman. So let me just take you through the situation in media, right, in my country. As a journalist, so we were talking about, you know, extremist materials and so on. As a journalist from Belarus, and you know, when I was working in the country, I often heard from officials that hey, I don't want to talk to a media outlet. And basically, like, you can do nothing about that. You can't collect any evidence, you can't publish, any fact-check materials, because, like, officials don't want to talk to you. And another thing, they very often refuse to give me information, to give information to independent media outlets. On the ground, they have already given this information to state-run media outlets. So, I mean, that's crazy, but that's how it works. And concerning this slide, basically there is kind of a positive side to the story too. You guys have noticed that we are a very creative nation. So I just love this example. There are kind of, it happened like really, a local newspaper was refused to kind of to get any information from local policemen somewhere, in a smaller town. And they got so upset about it, it's their bread. So they basically kind of, came up with this really genius idea. So they started to praise this policeman in every article, writing kind of every positive thing about him, praised him for everything. And after like few weeks, his bosses from Minsk called him, this policeman, and asked him, hey, what's going on? Why are these people praising you? This opposition newspaper, what's happening? So this policeman kind of, got angry. So he came to this journalist and told them, hey, okay, it's fine. Like, I'm going to give you any information you need, but just stop, writing about me, this positive, materials, because it's suspicious.
And here we see the guy who is, what is he doing? He is protesting against. That's a journalist of Belsat TV, I guess. Kostuś Żukołowski, how do you say he's not sue?
So yeah, so basically, so that's also difficult. Like if you work in the country, you have to be registered. Like you have to be registered with the relevant ministry, let's say Ministry of Information or Foreign Ministry. And Belsat TV applied for accreditation in Belarus like every year, at least 7 times, and every year it was denied. On the ground that actually Belsat TV journalists broke the law because they were working without accreditation. So, this explanation is kind of amazing. And Belsat TV journalists were fined for like $100 US. It's a great amount.
100,000.
Oh, sorry, 100,000. Yeah. I can't even imagine, this amount of money.
So basically they pay fines in Belarus as the taxes. They're not registered. They are not registered because they work without registration, and they pay thousands of fines every year as the taxes to the government, basically.
Yeah, and Kostuś Żukołowski, got angry and he basically sewed up his mouth, in a protest.
Belarus, Belsat is the only TV channel, independent broadcasting in Belarus and for Belarusians, but of course it has to do this from the Polish territory.
And recently the office was raided by police, and they confiscated all the stuff, including the mattress.
You see the mattress here in this red box, which is remarkable.
So, they seized computers because, it contains information. And also, apparently, this mattress also can contain some information.
And after a few days, they pardoned and say, oh, sorry, guys, it was the wrong rate, and gave all the techniques and equipment back. But this always happens in Belarus, these silly situations. For example, drones were hijacked 1 year ago. All the media organizations in Belarus were covering live the protest in Minsk downtown. And what government did, they hijacked them. They put the equipment on the rooftops, and the drones just flew away. And no police, no information, no KGB knew. Officially, they didn't know where the drones actually went. And this is what they do. They hijacking drones, or they switching off the cells, so mobile connection is not working, and journalists are not able to make live streams.
Exactly. And I guess it happened to you guys as well. So basically, mobile operators in Belarus kind of are supposed to give information, let's say GPS localization. And if you kind of by accident attended a mass protest in Belarus, they very easily, can
track you.
Yeah, can track you. And mobile operators will, give them their data, your data, right? Mm-hmm.
So the big problem in Belarus is, first of all, Russian presence, and so we have two types of propaganda, from state and from Russia. And Russia is monopolizing the information market, the media market, of course, coming with a project like Sputnik and non-branded Sputnik-related projects recently.
And also, we have no independent Belarusian TV stations. We only have Belarusian public television, who nobody watches it because it's too boring and low quality. We have hybrid channels, which have about 50–70% of content from Russian television, and Russian television itself, pure channels. So for this reason, the presence is really there.
And it's really
levels.
important to remember that we have two official languages, Belarusian and Russian. That's why basically Russian media are kind of very popular in the country.
And actually, that was not the case for last century. During the Soviet time, Belarus was totally Russified, and it became so dependent on Russia just recently, in the middle of the 20th century. Before Soviet Union, we had the 90% speaking Belarusian language, and now we are trying to get rid of this cultural and language dependence, but it's quite hard.
It's getting worse and worse year after year. Yeah, and I think we can skip that. And this is basically the main groups which are really prone to Russian disinformation in our country. And you can see that they cover pretty much all the stratas of our society, which is quite scary. Our authorities do realize there is a problem there, but because Lukashenko really put the country in such a trap with all his foreign policy and economic dependence on Russia, there's not really much he can do about it at the moment. So this problem is still there, unfortunately.
And the young people, basically, they are not interested in politics. You know, they don't read news, they don't watch analytics and shows. They don't have political views at all. There's the recent poll. It shows that we are apolitical, no views at all. And that's a big problem because you can't work with them if they're not engaged.
Yeah.
So Putin and Russian presence in Belarus, it is huge. Russian propaganda is never coming alone, as Veronika Vikhova mentioned today. And in Belarus, they are present with the cultural centers, with paramilitary organizations, TV channels, and it covers all the Belarus territory, especially the western part, especially the border regions with Poland, where there is a Catholic church, where there are Polish minorities. They put churches, they create Cossacks organizations, which are attached to the Orthodox Church.
Yeah, and unlike Ukraine, we have no autokefalous Belarusian church, Orthodox Church in Belarus, which is quite remarkable because we have them everywhere abroad, in the US, Canada, Australia, but not in Belarus. So all Orthodox churches, which are about 80%, or which gather about 80% of all believers, they all depend on Russia, and through these channels, they spread all pro-Russian, pro-Kremlin messages.
But actually what's interesting, regarding this Orthodox Church, they organize military, kind of paramilitary, camps for teenagers, for kids, right? So it's kind of, it's an official organization. So these guys come, to these camps, and then
yeah,
they're
there have been a few instances, and they were also inviting people from self-proclaimed DNR and LNR republics to train these kids there, and it was official, also with Cossack organizations.
And these Russian foundations, they copied Western organizations like NED, IRI, NDI. So you can come with the idea in Minsk, in Brest, in Homel, to Россотрудничество Center or Русский Мир Center, and receive grant $500–600 just at the moment. After 2–3 months, you can show the results, and they will give you another grant. So this is like super easy for Russians to control smaller initiatives, smaller outlets and groups on social media. And we have increasing number of no-name groups popping up in different regions of Belarus, like normal anonymous pages on Vkontakte especially, and all of them are sharing content from Russian propagandist channel, like Nikolai Starikov, Vladimir Putin group, Anti-Maidan.
Yeah.
And so they're small. We do not pay attention to them. We always pay attention only to Россия 24 or to Sputnik. But the biggest problem are these thousands of small pages which are difficult to track, but they basically are the main multiplier and distributor of the disinformation and propaganda.
What's interesting, like Russia today, RT, Sputnik are associated with Russia, right, with the Kremlin, and those small media outlets or small kind of social networks, they pretend to be local. I think that's kind of even more,
Yeah, recently our center we uncovered about several dozens of such also media outlets which pretend to be local in Belarus, but they spread pro-Kremlin narratives, and this campaign only started like several months ago. So it's a new trend in Belarus regarding the Russian presence.
And I think it especially increased during the last 2 years, from what I know.
Today we had discussion about the Russian platforms. In Belarus, it's actually the case because majority of Belarusians are using Mail.ru, Yandex. You know, Mail.ru made the capital on Facebook shares a long time ago. They had almost 10% of Facebook shares. They sold them and they purchased ICQ. They purchased Kontakte, Odnoklasniki, and now the majority of Belarusians, especially older people, are registered and using Odnoklasniki every day. And now Yandex is promoting in Belarus Yandex Rayon. This is like local communities, and they gather data, personal data of people in Belarus regions, first of all, through Yandex Rayon, and they control the narratives, you know, and the topics distributed there. And the Yandex Aura, which is also Yandex Alisa, you know, this is this, it's like Siri, it's like this talking system, you know, assistant,
Yeah,
personal
voice
assistant.
assistants, yeah.
And it is connected, Yandex Aura, Yandex Alisa, it works together, and then it also gathers information, and Belarusians are encouraged to install Yandex Alisa on their mobile phones and devices. We don't know how it will be used in the future, but we know for sure that Yandex Taxi, which pushed out Uber from the market, it is gathering information that it connects your account with your Yandex account.
Okay, let's move on.
How else do they manipulate?
Yeah,
We see top 5, not top 5, but top like general websites, news websites in Belarus. In 2017, the majority of traffic to these websites were coming from Belarus. But recently we see the increase of traffic from Russia. And this is what Yandex News and Yandex Zen are doing. They're inflating Belarus market with Russian traffic. So Belarusian media, they are rebuilding the model, and they become dependent on Russian traffic, and this is the slow destroyal of their media models, and they are getting more and more dependent. Thank you. Yeah, we have very limited time. Just a few examples of books produced, distributed in Belarus. It's like a soft and hard Soviet and Stalinist propaganda. This examples of posts that are filling our networks pages and news feeds. Map of the world and Stalin as the superhero. This is the Sputnik growth, which is like widely supported by Yandex and Mail.ru and aggregators. They promoted the idea of the reunification of Belarus and Russia through the messengers, especially Telegram and of course Viber. And that's it. And we have nothing to discuss.
3 minutes.
Wow, that was nice. Let's thank them. Come on. Okay, we have 3 minutes and 18 seconds, and there is a question already. Thank you. Okay.
So after your current dictator dies, what will happen? Will there be a power vacuum or something in the country?
The question, did you hear the question? What
What
happens when the dictator dies? What do you think will happen? Yes? Did they?
Belarus will change, definitely. We will see in what direction. He has a son. He's promoting his son to the presidency, but son doesn't want to be the president. He's playing piano, and he's okay with that. He's the longest-serving dictator for now in Europe, Lukashenko, but I think he's losing control over the situation for sure. And I don't think he has much time left on this position.
Okay, any other question? First, the applause, okay, and then the question. There is a question there.
It's great to have you here in Sarajevo to tell us more about Belarus. So I want to just pay attention to this specific term Belarus. It's not Belarussia, it's not Vice Rusland, it's not Bielorusia. So in our local language, we say Belarusia. So if you could explain why is it important for, in any other language, not to call it Bielorusia, but Belarus?
So I just quickly say, there was this Soviet Belarusian Republic, right? And now, so it's associated with the Soviet Union, and Belarus is an independent country.
No, it's even more simple, because since 1991, when Belarus gained official independence, it's written in our constitution what is the name of country in 3 languages: Belarusian, Russian is Belarus, in Russian as well. And it was also adopted with the UN Convention since then. But what Russians do, they do it on purpose. They continue using Belarusia, kind of to make us feel that we're still kind of in the sphere of the influence, just like they use Moldavia or Kyrgyzia and all this names.
Historical name Alba Rutenia, Latin name Alba Rutenia, White Rus, Rutenia it's Rus.
Yeah.
So Rus, Rutenia it's different from Russia, because Russia that's another form from Rutenia. So we don't have anything in common with modern Russia.
Nastya, you have a question?
Our new president, Volodymyr Zelensky, as I already mentioned, I am from Ukraine, said that you can see what we did, and maybe this will be the chance for other countries. I mean, for post-Soviet countries. What do you think about our election in Ukraine? And another question about this connection now between Russia and Belarus.
We've just said this.
Yes, I
Don't
know.
provoke. Don't provoke.
Always Belarus.
No, but
we say
in Ukrainian it's also
Belarus,
Belarus.
and we know about Rus because we had Kievska Rus, Kiev Rus. It's not the Russia, of course. Yeah, we have the same problem. But about this, like, connection between two countries, as Volodymyr Putin wanted as many things to make this one country from Belarus and Russia. What do you think?
I can start with the elections because I was actually observing your elections it was quite exciting, and Ukrainian elections were actually topic number one in all our media, traditional and social media in Belarus, because we were even joking between each other that because Belarusians have no political life themselves and it's so stable and boring, they were really excited to see what's happening in Ukraine, and also on the other side, they were really supporting all the time what's happening in Ukraine. So many, actually majority, I think, of experts, they were a bit skeptical about Zelensky because he seems to be a little populist, and this is the way Lukashenko was elected. He was also very populistic when he was elected. But overall, I think that the forecast is quite positive. I think because of their Russia's presence and controversies we have recently, there's going to be Lukashenko will be definitely playing this card, Ukrainian card, and will continue to maintain very good relations with Ukraine, like he was doing during Poroshenko times. And he definitely will not, recognize Crimea. And I think that it's going to be quite positive. But overall, Belarusians are really supportive for all democratic transformations happening in Ukraine, for sure. But what is remarkable also, because of presence of Russian television, still majority of Belarusians, if you ask them, they think that Crimea is Russian. So it's it's not that simple, but this is the way it is.
Nothing to add?
I'll just quickly add, time's up, but I'll just quickly add that at least you guys have elections, like we don't have them, right? The election in my country are rigged. I never voted, by the way, because I don't want, maybe I voted, maybe I just don't know about that, because, sometimes votes are just rigged, and who knows? But I'm just happy that, at least you can have fair voting.
Do you want to speak about Russia, Belarus?
No, we have to finish, but we can continue during the breaks and during the lunch.
Thank you very much for your question.
Yes,
you're welcome to Belarus. You have 30 days visa-free regime now, and we are going to make you the beautiful tour. You can go to Stalin Line. That's the beautiful communist
and the
style.
tractor show. And the tractor show.
Tractor show, a communist style Disneyland. It's Stalin Line. You can drink vodka and ride tank and shoot with Kalashnikov. We have KGB. It's beautiful street with McDonald's on the other side. So welcome to Belarus. Thank you for your attention. Let's be in touch, and thank you.
Thank you very much.